Have you ever really wanted a BC Rich, but didn't want to buy a BC Rich? Well, recently, and by recently I mean literally like 4 months ago, I was just browsing AliExpress, minding my own business, and I found something quite interesting. It was nothing that I'd never seen before, but it was a counterfeit BC Rich, and it was very obviously counterfeit. Not just because it's a product on AliExpress, although that is usually a red flag, but what put me off about this particular one is that they blatantly put the BC Rich headstock decal in the product photos. Now usually they cleverly try to avoid this by just straight up putting black bars over their headstocks in the product photos, because while the guitar is going to arrive with a headstock decal that says ESP, Abasi Concepts, Music Man, Dean, Fender or Gibson, they don't want you to see that straight away, because that is grounds for a lawsuit, obviously. But not this company, because, fuck it, life's too short, let's just do it. So of course, I bought it, I did buy it, I had to. And I won't even tease you any longer, here it is. Just to confirm that yes, it 100% actually says BC Rich on it. The placement is a bit off, but it's counterfeit. Now I've played a few BC Riches in my time, but sadly the Beast, which is this shape, is not part of the guitars that I've played, so I don't actually know the real life size of the body, but I'm pretty sure they downsized this one a bit, because BC Rich guitars tend to be very ergonomic, even though they don't look like it. And the body of this China Special BC Rich Beast is somehow small enough for your thighs to not fit entirely into any of the gaps without some of the points somehow digging into your legs very painfully. Before we continue though, for what it is, this guitar was quite expensive, so... Hi, don't mind me in this getup that looks like I smuggled white bricks into Florida in a C3 Corvette. I'm here to tell you about today's sponsor, Riffhard. Riffhard's goal is to be the world's best online school for metal musicians, and if I may be so bold, they're succeeding. It features a ton of courses by different guys from the metal guitar scene, such as Dave Davidson from Revocation, Richard Shaw, Aaron Marshall, Miles Dimitri Baker, guy that looks vaguely like me but plays much better. This guitar took months to get to me, so I've had plenty of time to try out Riffhard for myself, and honestly, so far my favorite instructor has been Dave Davidson because I'm very partial to Revocation. Riffhard features lessons in a bunch of categories such as gear and tone, the most interesting one if you're a gearhead idiot like myself, songwriting, technique, and more. And besides video lessons, it also has tools that will actively help you practice. Like I've been using this super intricate programmable metronome a lot myself lately. Every note played by any of the instructors is tabbed out for you on screen, and I haven't mentioned the best part yet, you can get your first month of Riffhard for $1 single through the link in my description right now. So what are you waiting for? Go practice. After this video. This is an item of many flaws, and before I get into any of them, I have to mention that this did not come shipped in a box, but rather in a solid block of styrofoam, presumably to reduce weight, and I had to dig through that block of styrofoam to get to the guitar. Lord knows how they got it in there in the first place, but there is still little balls of styrofoam in my yard, because how do I get rid of all of those? This guitar costs around about €350 on AliExpress. Now, granted, I did pay a little less than that because I shopped so much on AliExpress that I get a perpetual discount as a platinum member at this point. I'm less proud of that than you think. And I think as far as the flaws go, we'll start down here with the body and with the finish, because that's just my absolute favorite part. If there is anything you should not mess up while making a knockoff of an extremely popular classic guitar model, it is the aesthetics, because at least then it could be used as a wall decoration. But alas, this is what we're working with. I don't know who painted this, what kind of lacquer they used, or what kind of nail polish brush they used to apply it, but this is not it. Am I saying I could do a better job? Not one bit, but that's why I don't sell guitars. Moving on to the heel neck joint area, this is something that immediately caught my attention once I unboxed it, because I've never seen a more crooked neck attachment. I don't know if this neck was maybe shimmed when it shouldn't have been, I'll have to take the neck off and look at that later, but goddamn, that is strike 2 already and we haven't even plugged it in yet. Now the neck for what's supposed to be a metal shredder guitar is very, very thick. I don't even think Les Paul necks can hold a candle to this fucking shit. I don't assume actual BC Rich Beast necks are this thick, at least I don't hope so. Now what I will say they did quite a good job with is the fretwork, and I will prove it to you using my patent-pending balloon test. This is a leftover balloon from when I celebrated 10,000 subscribers, so it is so old and porous that even the tiniest sharp edge would cause it to pop. Nothing. The inlays are actually done quite nicely. They look pretty cool if you're into that kind of thing, which I kind of am, I'm ashamed to say. But once we move past the inlays to the nut area, we encounter the next issue, which is that the slots on this black plastic nut are carved about 1 mile deep, causing inevitable fret buzz in the lower fret area. Why only on the lower frets? Well, because the action is permanently set so unbelievably high that I could impossibly encounter fret buzz up here. There is no way for me to move this tune-o-matic bridge to go any lower. It is as low as it goes, and goddamn. Moving swiftly onto the headstock, I don't know what cheapo tuners these are, but what I do know is that their printer seems to have run out of ink in the middle of printing the BC Rich logo onto the headstock, because it has a bunch of white spots on it, and they had the audacity to put a trademark sign on it. This is probably the worst guitar I've ever held. The €50 cheapest guitar on eBay that I bought back in that, way old video of mine is 100 times better than this thing. So I won't keep you waiting any longer. Let's plug it in. Small warning though before we do that, I'm not using too much gain going into the amp. I'm using the same setup as always. These pickups are just not wax potted. Well, that was less than admirable, wasn't it now? I'm just going to put some pictures on screen while I'm talking of guitars that cost less than this thing that will absolutely blow you away in sound as well as in playability. I put these guitars on par with guitars for like $2,000 or $3,000 or more just because of how good budget guitars have gotten these days. There is no reason for you to buy a piece of junk like this besides if you want it as a wall decoration. If you're opening a rock and metal themed bar or something, sure, buy a couple of these, different ones and put them on the wall. Definitely. But not for playing. Under any circumstance. I can't even turn this into a mod project or anything because the body is no good since they downsized it to be incredibly uncomfortable unless you're standing up. I couldn't even leave the pots in or anything because these are crunchy garbage as well. The neck is no good either, the attachment is crappy, the paint job looks too bad to use it as a mod project because no. So I can't really do anything with this besides keep it in a corner and laugh at it occasionally. Please do not buy counterfeits. Just go on Reverb and try to find a real used one for a good price. This is an actual guitar. This model, this design actually exists just the exact same way, only real and used on Reverb somewhere. So on that note, thank you so much to Riff Hard for sponsoring this video. If you want to try Riff Hard for $1, then go through my link down in the description. Thank you so much to my Patreon members as well. Their names are scrolling right here. The Patreon is in the description. You get all of these benefits listed right here. My most recent video is somewhere up here. You can sub somewhere down there if you feel like it. I'd appreciate it. Social media links in the description too. Thanks, like, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment. I'll see you around.